So, if you have trouble hearing chord changes when you're playing along with people or a recording, I hope this video will help you. And it was inspired by a member who asked a question recently. When playing with other people or a recording, I cannot seem to know when to make chord changes. I can't seem to hear the changes. It is what has hampered my playing or progress for a long time. This is a very common challenge and it's a complex one. And so I kind of wanted to give you an overview of the different skills involved, some of the common pitfalls, and a way for you to train yourself to get better at this host of skills. Here's kind of an overview of what I want to talk about. First of all, a lot of what goes into keeping track of where you are in a song when you're playing along with someone else or a recording has to do with knowing how to count along with and feel the beat of the music. And then by extension, learning how to count along with the measures of the music. If you can do those two things, then you can just study a chord chart for the song and know when to make the chord changes or be able to predict when the chord changes are going to come just by your own knowledge of the structure of the song, plus your ability to track the progress of the song by counting beats or measures. So I'm going to talk about that. I also want to talk about a similar skill that will help you hear chord changes when there's like a full band playing, because often the guitar or the piano, if you're trying to listen to that, is somewhat indistinct in recordings, and I actually listen to the bass more often than anything else when I'm listening to like a full band song. So I'll hopefully get you started focusing more on the bass when you're trying to figure out songs in a recording. All right, so first of all, regarding feeling and being able to count along with a beat in a song, this is something that sounds really simple, but is quite challenging, especially for us adults who weren't trained in music when we were younger or didn't dance when we were younger. I found a lot of my private adult students struggle with this skill. And, we have our egos wrapped up in it too. We feel like it should be easy, and we just feel like idiots when we can't do it. And this comes up again and again. And so, when I teach a student and they're struggling with this, I have no judgment of them. I've seen a bazillion other adults struggle with the same thing. But when you're in the thick of it, when you're a beginning musician as an adult and you run into this obstacle of having a hard time hearing the beat, feeling the beat, tapping your foot along with the beat, you feel like there's something horribly wrong with you, like you're brain damaged or you just weren't born with the rhythm gene. And it's not true. It's just that it's a challenging skill, and kids who are either trained in like traditionally trained with music, or they just grow up with music a lot and they're dancing with it all the time and listening to it, they absorb it in childhood, and then they grow up to be adults who have an easy time doing it, and they look at the rest of the adults who can't do it and they wonder, wow, there must be something wrong with them. No, it's just that they learned it earlier on in their life. So if you find yourself in this category of an adult who feels like they're totally rhythmically challenged because they have a hard time counting along with the beat, here's a way to get started in the privacy of your own home when there's no one there to judge you, okay? So I'm going to pop over to picture-in-picture here and go to the members section of Heartwood Guitar. If you're not a member, you'll still have an opportunity to do this exercise, just finding music on your own. I'm going to use some stuff in the members area here because it's been slowed down and simplified and is a little easier to work with. Let's just go to, these are my premium song lessons. Let's go to Wagon Wheel. And most of my premium song lessons have a slow strum along video in them, where once you learn the basics of playing the song, you can play along with this play along track and we're going to use it here for me to demonstrate how you can practice counting along with the beat, okay? I chose wagon wheel because the easier strum pattern in wagon wheel is all on the beat. You're strumming every beat, so it's fairly easy to count along with. So this is what you can do. Start the video, and you're going to hear me count in.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And then as I strum, try to keep counting along with the song like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. And notice that I accent the 1. It's very important to hear the 1 in a song. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That 1 is the start of the measure, and so you really want to know when that measure starts. It's usually when there's a chord change. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll bet no matter how rhythmically challenged you are, you'll find that relatively easy, at least once you get a little bit of practice there. One thing that you can work on that may not come as easily is feeling the beat while you're counting. If you watch this video and you watch me as I'm counting along, I'm bobbing my head with this music, and in the video as I'm strumming the guitar, I'm bobbing my head. This is something all good musicians do to some extent, where they're not only keeping track of the pulse of the music intellectually, they're feeling it with their body. There's this inner groove that they've got going, and foot tapping is one way of doing that. So try to find a way to move your body with the beat that feels natural to you. Now, nothing may feel natural to you if you've never done this before, but a head bob or a foot tap can work. I found that actually tapping the heel of your foot on the ground instead of your toe can be a little easier because you're moving your whole leg up and down when you do that. And the more body you have moving through space to feel the beat, the harder it is to interrupt that groove. You have this momentum going when you're moving a lot of your body. That's why music teachers teach kids to feel the beat a lot by marching. I do that with some of my adult students too. You march along to the beat. It's very hard to interrupt if you're marching because you're moving so much body through space. So here are 2 challenges that I have for you for both counting along with the beat and feeling the beat. Just do it along with this song or another song, like a slow country song is a good one to count along with. Make sure that it's in 4/4. 4/4 is going to be the most common time signature. So don't choose a country waltz if you can help it, which would be in 3/4, 3 beats to the measure. Choose a song in 4/4, like Wagon Wheel. It's a good one, kind of mid-tempo. Just find the original version of it and count along with it. Okay, so count along with the song, try to feel the beat. Once that feels easy, try a song with a little bit more of a syncopated groove to it, where you're hitting more off beats. And this next video in this premium song lesson is great for that. So check this out.
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this song is a little harder to count along with because there are some strums where you're not counting, and I'm swinging too, which means the upstrokes are a little delayed, so it's a little funkier, but you can still feel the beat. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Watch my head bob in the video. You can see I'm feeling the beat too. If you get lost, try to lock into my head bob. All right, so that's kind of a stage 2 of learning how to count along with the beat and feel the beat. So once you've practiced that for a bit, another good skill to bring into the mix is keeping track of how many measures are being played. And there's a trick to this that I learned playing trumpet, and not like the best trumpet player in the orchestra in 4th and 5th grade. I'd have these trumpet parts in my little school orchestra that would last for a couple measures, and then I have to like sit for like 20 measures to wait for my part to come up again, which is fine with me because I didn't like playing trumpet, and so I was just happy to kick back and chill. And our teacher taught us to count measures by going 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. So you would change the 1 to whatever number of measure that you're counting at that particular time. And again, this is a skill that seems like it should be easy. It actually takes some practice. But this is a good skill to have if you like play. Let's say you're trying to play along with a song that has a chord that lasts for 4 measures. Instead of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe getting lost as you're doing that, going, wait a minute, which measure are we on? You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, and then you know that you're done with those 4 measures. So you can practice that skill, again, counting along with one of these videos or just a song that, like I described earlier. So those are 2 skills that you really need to be solid on in order to hear chord changes, because once you can do that, and as long as you know how the song structure works by just like following along in a chord chart, you'll be able to predict where that chord chart is coming. You start the song, you start counting on the first measure, and you'll be able to see where each chord change is supposed to come up. Now, my member who asked me this question may also be talking about, like, for example, what if you don't have a chord chart for the song and you're trying to listen to a song and know when there's a chord change? Depending on the recording, this can be really challenging. Like I said, the guitar part may be really quiet in the recording, or might be like this really complex lead part, or fingerstyle part, and it's kind of hard to hear when the chord change happens. And I don't really have an easy answer for you. Sometimes I have a hard time hearing where there's a chord change in a song that I'm trying to figure out for a student. But here's one little thing that you can kind of hang your hat on, and you can start practicing now. There's this thing that a bass player will do. This only applies obviously to recordings that have a bass in it. There's this thing that a bass player will almost always do in a song, where right on a chord change, they hit the root note of the chord change. And often that note kind of lasts for a little while. It's like boom, and then maybe they walk up to boom, 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 boom. And so every time there's a chord change, they're hitting the root note, which is the note that the chord is named after. And that note is often more prominent than the other notes that they may be hitting during the song. They don't just hit that root note and let it last for like until the next chord change comes up. That would make things a lot easier for us to figure out songs, but that's not a very artful way of playing the bass. But those notes that they hit are often more prominent. And so if you can single out those notes that they're hitting that mark the chord change, not only will you know when the chord change is happening, but if you can hear that note and then match it to like a note on your guitar, you can actually figure out what kind of chord they're playing. Boom. If that note is a G, and you find that by matching a note on your guitar to the note you hear the bass playing, you can figure out, okay, that's some kind of G chord. So that's the basics of how you learn a song like that by ear, how you figure out those chords by ear. And I actually have a great lesson on that in the members area. This is kind of a little known lesson, but I'm very proud of it. I worked very hard on it, and I think it works really well. Learn a song's chords by ear. And so, even though the member didn't specifically ask about how to figure out which chords are being played, he was just talking about the timing of the chords. If you take this lesson and practice hearing the bass part and picking that out of the recording, you'll get better at the skill of being able to hear when a chord is being changed. So just in summary, I want to just call attention to something here that, first of all, when you're playing along live with someone, your challenge isn't necessarily to hear when they're making a chord change. That does definitely help, but if you think about it, if you're actually playing along with someone else, by the time they make the chord change, it's actually too late for you to make that chord change, right? You can't just like be strumming along with someone else and like as soon as they make a chord change, you make a chord change. Like you're going to be late on that chord, right? You need to be doing it simultaneously. And so the skill of hearing a chord change is more knowing the song beforehand. Like you really do need to have played the song or at least heard the song a lot, and to have some skills in being able to play songs like spontaneously in order to play them along with other people, okay? You can't just play along with someone who's playing a song you've never heard before and expect to be able to play along with it. I can't do that. No one can. And so you need to be familiar with the song. And then your job is not to hear the chord changes necessarily they're making. It's to predict when those chord changes are going to happen by keeping track of the beats and thus keeping track of the measures and being familiar enough with how the song is put together to know what chord is going to come up. And then likewise, when you're figuring out chord changes in a recording, you're trying to do that, but also you can lock into the bass in a recording and hear when they're making a change to the root note of the next chord. And you can learn how to do that by taking that how to figure out chords by ear lesson that I made. Okay, I hope this provides some skills and also some encouragement for those of you who feel rhythmically challenged and maybe like ear challenged. And I hope it helps you play music with other people and figure out songs when you listen to them in recordings, because I think it's endless fun doing that. And so I hope it opens up that door for you. All right, good luck. Take care.